Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channels. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and I'm here with my husband, Jens Pateo, and we're here to talk about this Trump versus Musk battle storm through astrology and spiritual analysis. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we get into it, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channels, and also check out our upcoming retreat, summer solstice retreat that we're doing in Algonquin Park, Ontario, Canada. We've got 2 spots left to celebrate the summer solstice with like-minded community. You can check that in the description box below, and all our links are below. Yanzi, how are you doing in these crazy times?
I'm good. It's a calm day for me. But you know, these things, this world news is making a lot of waves, making a lot of ripples. In a way, rightly so, because you know the things that are being posted online by these two very visible people on the front on the world stage is quite interesting. We never have seen something like this, like an online fight of this magnitude, where you have this very visible breakup, and then Musk is posting very, things that you can get actually in a lawsuit for. So unless he implicated basically Trump with Epstein in a tweet, that was the tweet that really that really took it to another level. I mean, for the fight was crazy enough, but the Epstein tweet, linking Trump to Epstein, that was on another level. That blew up the internet, so to speak. So we're going to talk about. Meg's going to talk about the astrology. We're also going to talk about the spiritual implications. Like, use this as a kind of a moment to reflect and to think: what do we believe? How do we handle these things? Instead of going into all the details like all the other channels are doing, and there's background story. And instead of we're going to more into the astrological and spiritual perspective of it. So I'm excited for this discussion.
Yeah, definitely. And before we get into the nitty-gritty astrology, why don't we start with a little bit of spiritual analysis, a little bit of spiritual science, esoterica, if you will. There's always a higher meaning to everything, right? Nothing is coincidence, at least for Jens and I, it is not. What are your first impressions with this craziness? We have a president of the United States of America in a battle with one of his former friends and advisors, who's the richest man in the world. I mean, this is better than any movie. You can't make any of this stuff up. What do you feel this is showing us thematically, spiritually, that's very important for us to be kind of paying attention to right now? Because you're right, we can get caught up in the nitty gritty, right? But the truth is, we don't know the truth unless we were actually there, right? Or you're like a very highly developed remote viewer where you can go see the truth about everything. Do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? What do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, I fully agree with it, and that's my position too. I mean, we all have our belief systems, right? We all think Trump is this or Trump is that, and we are going to interpret reality according to our belief systems. One of my favorite quotes is, "We don't see life as it is. We see life how we believe it is." And that's very true. We see our life through our belief-colored glasses. So our beliefs determine our perceptions, and our perception creates reality. And that's how we see the world. So that's always very important to remember when looking at anything. Now, I fully agree with what you're saying, is that we don't know for sure. I mean, I have some theories about what happened, and I think this might be more probable than that. And this is maybe very improbable. But we all have this, how would I say this? Yeah, we need to be able to look at our beliefs from a impartial view, even our own beliefs. So some people are very quick to latch on to one explanation because they believe they have certain beliefs. So some people might be for example, I'm just giving a hypothetical example here. For example, you're really a fan of Musk and you're really a fan of Trump. Then, in your eyes, they both can't do bad. And then you might latch on more on the explanation that they're both playing together, that it's like a fake and that they're actually good guys playing together. So you might then believe that. If you don't want to see each one of these persons as like being acting erratic or something, you might latch on to that, while other people might latch on to that. So we don't know for sure. Like you're saying, we don't know unless you've been there. Unless you're saying you have like superhuman and you know everything in the universe. We don't know. And we have to,
Right.
in my opinion, we have to work with potentials. For example, some theories, for me personally, I I think it's very improbable. And other theories I think are more probable. And we got to work with the evidence. And more, in my opinion, to answer your question, based on what I'm seeing now and based on what we know now and the time we are recording this, which is like, about a little bit less than 24 hours after, Musk dumped his super famous, already super famous tweet, we don't know. Based, in my opinion, we can't make any fixed decisions on it. I have a few theories. I actually have, I wrote out a list of 5 possibilities on my social media, on my Facebook, and posted it. What is possible, but I'm not putting all my hopes or all my fixation on any one of these possibilities because honestly, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I'm just trying to bring up, in case anybody happens to be out of the loop, which I don't think is a really bad thing at all. If you happen to not know what the heck has just happened, let me just bring this up so you guys can see. So yesterday, Elon Musk went on why isn't this coming up? He went on a Twitter, or X now as he owns it, which is another weird thing, right, Yanzi? We're dealing with, okay, not only was he the head of Doge, friend and advisor of the president, he owns X, right? He's a part of so many different businesses, many businesses that are, and again, this is my belief, okay, are questionable. That's my personal belief and feeling, like the Neuralink, like the electric cars, all that stuff, right? And so it's weird that this is happening on a platform that he owns. That's another layer to this. So there's a theme here spiritually of power dynamics, what we do with our power struggles, leaders, what kind of leaders do we want, and how are leaders ethically acting, right? And what does that reflect on the rest of us as humanity? So for those of you who don't know, Musk did a barrage of X posts yesterday, the big one starting with, time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And then he went on to say many other things. So, wow, that is a bomb that was dropped just after 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, June 5th. This is what we're referring to. And now there's been a battle going on between President Trump and Elon Musk. Once very close friends, or as we've been presented, again, we do not know unless we were there. That's the thing that I'm feeling the most with the situation is we're coming to be astrologically close to a full moon in Sagittarius that's going to be exact on June 11th, right? And Sagittarius, you are a Sagittarius, Jens, so you can definitely speak to that. And you've got a lot of Sag in your chart. This is the sign that rules beliefs, right? And full moons are about release and letting go and also illumination of beliefs. So this full moon not only has to do with this Musk and Trump situation, but we're seeing as a theme astrologically and spiritually as we are around the portal of this full moon, June 11th, battles with Saturn now in Aries and in conjunction to Neptune, the sign that rules battles, war, conflict of beliefs, right? So this is a time for us to be very mindful of what's worth a fight and what's not worth a fight. And some people that we may not, like I think most of us don't know President Trump or Elon Musk personally, we're witnessing something from a third party view with our own, like you were saying, Jens, projections, right? With our own beliefs that we're putting on to the situation. So it makes sense with the astrology that we're seeing very big battles of beliefs and also dismantling of people's beliefs. Through what Elon Musk said, there may be some people that are siding more with Elon Musk, like you were saying, that now don't like Trump at all. Or now there's people that side more with Trump that don't like Elon at all. There's people in the middle that have no idea what the fuck is going on, right? It's very, very weird. So anything that you want to comment, Jens, on the sign of Sagittarius, are you feeling that as an influence personally as we're leading up to this full moon, or anything that you want to comment on this full moon's influence?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what actually this is what we're dealing with. It stirs a lot of that, reflecting people's beliefs and how people see it. And like I said, we gotta hold all the options open.
Hmm.
We gotta hold the option open that that Elon Musk, that the fight is real, that Elon Musk is truly pissed at Trump for not promoting his electric cars anymore when he has given him a few billions of dollars in support of the election, which is true. So yeah, you
Hmm.
could kind of understand that he's kind of pissed that he doesn't get what he wants after he supported Trump. So he feels probably like betrayed, and that's why if it is true that their fight is real, of course, and he feels
Hmm.
betrayed and now he's coming after Trump, that might be true. It might also be true that we're just being played and divide and rule. And I don't, like I say, I don't know for sure. I also have my own beliefs. I think this is more probable than the other thing, but we got to be careful. We need to hold it open this might be a ploy, and that this, for example, it's divide and rule, right? That people are being distracted. We know the elites who want to distract people. We had to judge around certain prime how would I say this, archetypal themes. So we had the divide and
Hmm.
rule around, for example, race. That's an archetypal theme
Hmm.
that plays in the subconscious. For example, with the George Floyd incident, and I Can't Breathe, and everybody, it was, Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, and we were getting played against each other. Now, we need to be careful that this is not, and again, I'm talking about probabilities here, but we need to be careful that this is not the case again, that we're being
Hmm.
sidetracked, being, look over here, look at this fight with Trump and Musk, look, all the attention is funneled to that. Well, in the background or on the side, there's other things happening that need to be talked about. For example, the discussion about Palantir. We're not going to go deep into this show here because I did a whole show yesterday night on the Beyond Mystic platform. People can watch that if they want, but that's really a discussion, breaking open a discussion in American society, because it's taking away the state's power. They're creating a database to this company, Palantir, which is basically quite an Orwellian company of Peter Thiel of the Bilderberg Group, is creating this database in America. Then we have the big beautiful bill that is created that has a lot of opposition because it wants to deregulate AI for the next 10 years, which is very dangerous in my opinion. The deregulation of AI, because AI is a very powerful technology that needs to be regulated. And if you're deregulating it for 10 years, that's basically giving the technocrats free reign for the next 10 years. And even people like Marjorie Greene, the Republican that is a supporter of Trump, very
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's her name.
Mhm.
She's now speaking out against this and saying, this is not okay. We need to go against it. So even Trump's own supporters are going against it. So that was happening, and suddenly we have this big fight coming up. So I'm not
Right.
saying for sure that I know it's a distraction, but that's a possibility we cannot rule out. And that's why we also have to stay close to ourselves, is because the elites are
Mhm.
expert at mind control. The
Yeah.
elites are, the elites who control the mainstream media are experts at diverting our attention to where they want it to go. So that's something we have to take into account.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Very well said. So it's a lot going on. And just to echo what you just said, so important for us to be grounded in our own energies, connected to our own intuitions, and really looking at if we have very strong beliefs about something or we're getting really triggered about a situation, where is that coming from? Right? Is that genuinely coming from us and something that we know personally 100% for sure from our own experience? Or is that coming from a projection, a belief that we've taken on from somebody else? Right? So I really feel like this is very exciting times astrologically because we're coming out of Neptune and Pisces transit. We were in that from 2013 up until March 30th, 2025. Neptune is going to go back into Pisces one last time this fall and winter, and then go fully into Aries in beginning of 2026. But we're in Neptune and Aries right now with Saturn in Aries as of 2 weeks ago, and all the outer planets changing signs into the air and fire signs. So I really feel astrologically that truths are coming out more and more into the open. We're coming out of this Neptune and Pisces mind control, lies, kind of like movies that we're watching, if there are movies that we're watching, if there are plays that have been planned going on. So I really feel like if we pay attention and if we're in discernment based off of the facts, based off of our own intuition, navigational guide on the inside, we're going to start to see things a lot more clearly. So discernment is very, very important during these times. Also, as this is happening between Trump versus Musk, not only are we at the beginning of Saturn and Aries transit, which is all about battles, conflict, coming up to the surface, our frustrations coming out into the surface. This is something we can see more and more in our personal lives over the next few months. Unexpected conflict that is good. If there's something that's been upsetting us, sometimes that needs to come up to the surface so that we can release it, right? Also, as this battle between Trump and Musk is happening, we're in Gemini season with the Sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, and Jupiter at last critical degree, 29 degrees in Gemini. So this is very erratic. This is very destabilizing. This is also an information overload, a hot gossip situation too, that a lot of people are trying to keep up with. But the truth is, we're not personally involved in this situation, right? It's also like a test of how much are we going to take on, kind of like our spiritual boundaries. How much are we going to take on from a situation that most of us are not directly involved in, right? Because when we take things on and we pay attention to news stories and gossips that actually have nothing to do with our lives. Now, of course, the president of the United States has a little bit to do with all of our lives because that's one of the most powerful people on the planet, one of the most influential countries on the planet. But does that make sense how I'm saying that, Jens? Jens, we're not directly associated with these people. So when is it too much that we're putting time or even analysis or energy into something, right? Could part of the spiritual implications of this be that are we going to get so overloaded by information to the point where people become more and more tuned out by what's going on with famous people and celebrities and politicians and more into our own personal lives and understanding?
Absolutely, that's very true what you're saying, because the moment we let our inner peace be disturbed by these external events that actually have nothing to do with our personal lives, that's the moment when we have to think, okay, it is time to take a step back here. And of course, we can report it, but it's all about our own consciousness. If we're really getting emotional and chaotic about it, then, like I said, if this would be like a psyop to distract us again, if that possibility would be real, then they're succeeding if you let them do that. So that's really true what you're saying. It's basically all about staying in your center, being able to stay in your center and to not let you affect it, because that way, if it is a kind of a mind control trick, and also for future mind control tricks, you'll be more resistant to it. The more you can be like that calm in the storm, it won't affect you. The thing is, the storm can only affect you if you let it, if you choose to let it affect you. So that's the beautiful thing, and if you're in a real storm, of course it affects you. You need to take shelter if it's too hard. But that's the thing. People let it affect them. Well, it shouldn't affect them, but they let it affect them by their beliefs and their very inflammable emotional reactions that you see around all these themes that there is a lot of polarity around, like race, like politics. And maybe, as you're saying, on a higher level, whatever is behind this, if it is real or if it is a psyop, whatever is behind this on a higher level, because this is so visible right now on the world stage, maybe people will be like, okay, what is this? Do we really need this? These quote unquote world leaders fighting with each other. Is it just like, maybe people will just get sick of it and just be like, I'm going back to my own life. I don't care anymore. Which actually would be a good thing. Maybe the system in a way is destroying itself, or maybe these two actors on the world stage are, although maybe it's not their intention, they're actually helping to become people more aware. Because as I've said also in my own writings, every action has an opposite reaction. So, for example, if this would be a psyop, in a way, and there's multiple possibilities that this can be a psyop. It can also be real. Like I'm saying, I'm talking probabilities, but if it would be, then it helps us to awaken in a way. Because this is a quote I remember that once was said by the Pleiadians, is what was it? The dark forces are a power in this world that challenge us to awaken. So in a
Mm.
way, it's not they don't want to awaken us. Of course, these dark forces want more control, but every action has an opposite reaction, like what happened during the quote unquote health crisis 5 years ago. Is a lot of it was designed to control, and we saw the mind control there. I'm not going to go into it now.
Mhm.
How many mind control techniques were used in, and everybody's who's awake is going to know. But a lot of people also woke up because every action has an opposite reaction. If you turn the wrench, if you squeeze the people, the people are going to react, and more people are going to wake up. So I think in a higher perspective, this may also have maybe a positive effect, although maybe not apparent immediately.
Very, very interesting. And I love what you just said there about, and I also agree, we're going to become more and more like not caring about people that we don't know personally in these powerful positions, right? That can actually be very disempowering and a huge energy leak. And of course, leaders of the world, I think, are in important positions that I do think, for if it resonates with you, it is important to be paying attention to what's going on with that politically, if that feels right for you. But, the way that we can get so affected by it when there's already so much going on, so much change and transformation happening onto the planet, we need to be very, very careful with our energy levels. And when it comes to beliefs with this full moon in Sagittarius, which, by the way, you guys, I'm going to put out tomorrow, June 7th, my full moon in Sagittarius video for the collective and all 12 signs. So stay tuned for that. I was going to put that out today, but Jens and I felt guided to do this video together to talk about kind of our spiritual analysis, also a little astrology analysis of this Trump versus Musk situation. And do you feel, Jens, I felt yesterday when this happened, before this kind of big news story broke, I felt weird energetically during the day. I felt like something was a little bit off. Something was, strange in the force. And afterwards, you can kind of feel the ripples, at least I did. Let me know what you think. Throughout the matrix of how when we have these really big shocking events, it affects the whole collective. And this one felt to me to be really destabilizing, actually. What did it feel like to you energetically when you first heard about it, or how do you think it's affecting the collective at the moment?
Yeah, I think it is really affecting the collective because and you used the excellent word for that, destabilizing, because it is it is destabilizing for everybody in a way. For example, for the people who are really fans of Trump and Musk, and they were happy that they're teamed up, and that Twitter has the supposed free speech right now, although there's something to be said about it. But anyway, for them it's total shock, right?
Right.
I mean, for the USA has always been a country, as you said, that has really this present stage on the world. It's like front and center, and it's very, very visible. So for the United States, especially for the people in the United States, this is a huge thing, and for the world too. So it is destabilizing. But like I said, I think there may be in the long term, some good coming from it. Although we know there are dark forces out there that want to capitalize on every situation. Suppose, for example, that their fight is legitimate, and that Elon is totally on the loose and on drugs, and he's posting these things. Suppose that there will always be forces who want to capitalize on that, even if
Right.
the happenings are real. So we got to remain discerning always. And like I said, it's important to do your own spiritual work, to meditate, to be in your center. If you have your own. Okay, we're human. We have off days. Sometimes we have more emotional. Our emotions are sometimes going a bit up and down, but it's important to balance your emotions as most as possible, in a way that we are not affected. Like we're watching it as a stage, as the world stage, and don't jump to conclusions. Like we have people are really so eager to jump to conclusions when something happens. Oh, it's like this and it's like this. No, just watch it. Don't jump to conclusions. Wait it out a little bit. Like we are not saying like some of these news sites out there and it's this and it's this is why it's happening. No, don't jump to conclusions. Just observe it, and it'll not be better for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did say some of my personal opinions last night on Beyond the News, on Beyond Mystic, how I feel about it. But again, I'm really embracing with this full moon in Sagittarius. Like, I could be wrong, or I don't truly know unless I was there, which I said like 5 times in this video already. And I think that also goes to the spiritual concept of child and spiritual innocence and the
Sorry,
great
can you say that
mystery.
again? Can you say that again?
Oh,
Because the audio was cutting out and the spiritual concept, the word didn't come through.
oh, weird. Okay, sorry, you guys. I was just going to say, well, I was just saying that this situation is making me bring up the concept of the inner child, our spiritual innocence, and also the ancient indigenous concept of the great mystery. Okay, meaning God is a great mystery, the universe is a great mystery. We're not meant to know the exact know every answer in life, because part of the human experience is the great mystery and sitting in, as I like to call it, the I don't know. Okay, so we live in these modernistic times where we have access to our smartphones and finding out the practical answers about everything, but we've lost a lot of that magic spiritually of the I don't know, or there's a mystery behind that, right? So it's also okay for us when there's a situation like this Trump versus Musk battle coming up. It's okay to be in the I don't know. It's okay not to be on the side. It's okay to not know fully in the moment right away, like what the fuck is going on, right? And that actually brings, I think, more magic in our life when we can embrace our inner child, embrace the great mystery. Does that make sense how I'm explaining that, Yancy?
Absolutely, I fully agree, and it makes me think of an experience I had a few years ago, where suddenly I was transported back to what it was to. It was a very spiritual moment, because I was like in my, I think it's 10 years ago maybe that I had this, and I was like, in my early 30s, so I was not a child, and suddenly I felt for a moment how it was again to look at the world like a child, to look at the
Mm,
world with the eyes of mystery. That I was like, oh my God, I kind of forgot this as an adult. To look at the world with the eyes of innocence,
right.
but also, we need to have our discernment up. As you said, that's also that we need to have that, because as children, we are very trusting. We don't have a lot of discernment as a child, because we still protected or should be protected by the discernment of the parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to not forget that side, okay, we need to grow up as an adult and have that discernment, but we can't forget that inner child, that sense of innocence, that sense of mystery and wonder, and to look at the universe with the eyes of mystery, because it's like science wants to explain everything and kind of
Yeah.
take the mystery out of life. Well, there's so many things that science don't know, there's so many things that we don't know, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's really associated, like you say, with the inner child, with that sense of wonder and innocence. That is very, very beautiful, and we can't let that go. We can't forget that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're almost at the half hour mark of this video, you guys. We don't want to make it too long. Just wanted to hop on here and connect. And it's so interesting with this Gemini season. There's so many freaking videos of everybody just saying the same thing, like doing an analysis in the same way of the facts. And sometimes we need to bring it up and look at that spiritual higher perspective. And we're not claiming to know everything. We're not claiming to be spiritually perfect, but it really helps when we are connected to our spiritual side and our higher self. That also grounds us, brings comfort and support during these very intense energetic times, right? Is there anything else, Jens, that you want to add before we finish up today's video?
I think we're true. As just I just want to re-emphasize, just stay close to yourself. Tune into yourself. For a few times a day, put your hands on your heart. Just go within, and only that can already make a big difference than being distracted, than being caught up in these chaotic emotions that are flowing through the collective. Because there's a lot of chaos flowing through the collective sometimes in moments like this,
Yeah.
or when they're destabilizing world events happen. So and it's like I said, don't let the storm affect you. Tune within, and it'll be good for yourself, and it'll be good for your experience of life, because that's how we need to, as humans, we need to live, is have that center, that stability within.
Mm-hmm. Definitely very wise Sagittarian words. And thank you guys so much for joining us. And we hope you're doing well out there in these very intense energies. We do have a couple spots left for our Soulful Summer Solstice Retreat Weekend happening last weekend of June at the Northern Edge Retreat Center, award-winning in Algonquin Park, Ontario, Canada. We're so excited for this. We have like 20 people signed up already, just a couple spots left. So if you'd like to come celebrate the summer solstice in like-minded community, do some earthing, sound healing, dance, stargazing. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. You can go sign up at our website, megmoonbeam.com. And also want to mention that Jens has his book, The World in Transition, available on Amazon. Let me bring that up here. Transition book. Here we go. How long has it been now that you've had the English copy out?
The English book is just out for like, I think right now it's about 2.5 months.
Has it only been 2.5 months, the English version?
Yes.
Oh my God. For some reason, I thought it was way longer. So yeah, Jens, my husband, has been in the conspiracy field for over 20 years, right? You've been researching this stuff. You've been active kind of in the community. So you're very well researched and knowledgeable. If you'd like to know what the heck is going on, the old power structure that's losing its power, Jens has the Sagittarian gift of sharing facts in a very good written way of what the heck is going on as a very big form of support. So you can go check out his book, A World in Transition. We'll put the link in the description box. Thank you guys so much for joining. Please remember to like, share, subscribe to our channels, and we'll see all you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.